Welcome to Wealthy After 40. Ready to ditch debt, retire sooner, and live life on your own terms? Only 54% of Gen Xers feel prepared for retirement, and 22% believe they will live a comfortable lifestyle. So if you're feeling like your finances are a hot mess express, you are not alone. I'm Daylene Higgins, founder of Elevate Finances and money coach for Gen Xers. I reached my dream of retiring at 50 while helping our daughter through college, and now I want to help you do the same. It's time to stop avoiding your finances like the plague and start having confident conversations about money. Join me every week to talk about personal budgeting, debt payoff, saving for retirement, money mindset, and leaving a legacy for future generations. Okay, friends, let's talk money. Hello and welcome to today's episode on Wealthy After 40. I am excited to dive into today's topic. But before I do, I just want to share with you a new offer I have. It is a 4-week or 4-session intensive that will have you seeing results with your money using the simple, easy, and effective budget framework. Budgeting is simple with 3 easy buckets. The managing for the month is easy with 3 money moves, and it is effective because you are immediately saving using this framework. If this is something that sounds like it might be for you, check out the website for more details or schedule a free call and we can answer all of your questions. So moving on to today's topic called budgeting burnout. Budgeting burnout can probably reflect many different feelings or, what you're experiencing may not be the same from one person to another, but ultimately it means you are struggling on your budget journey. Now, a budget journey, money journey, is going to be long, right? Mine was 15 years to achieve my financial independence, but it doesn't have to be hard. Now, in the beginning, it's definitely going to be a bigger challenge, right? You've got a learning curve. You got to figure things out. And eventually it should get more smooth and more smooth. You're ultimately looking for a well-oiled machine. This will help you just fly through your journey, right? Once you get it there. So budgeting burnout, you're not feeling like it's flowing. It's not well-oiled, right? And so as you have gotten past the new and you've been doing what you've been doing, you might be experiencing some feelings, right? Feelings of burnout, feelings of hard, feelings of, something besides frustrated and just wanting to give up. So I'm going to give you 6 tips today to dig into to help you find some pieces you can replace with your budgeting process, right? With your budgeting journey, and help you create that well-oiled machine. Everybody's will look different. So hopefully these will help you dig into what you're doing and create that smoothness so that you can get sailing again. There's no need for it to be that hard. So first tip for today is, are you being realistic with your numbers? So when you created your budget, you probably had a feeling of great, what is the word I want? You were very motivated. You were ready to attack it. And so you created your budget. So now I want you to think, are your numbers realistic? Were you too aggressive with the amount you have going to saving and or debt? Because when you were creating that and you figured it out, it sounded so good and you're like, yes, I can do that. There is no reason why you can't scale that back, right? As long as we are saving and as long as we are paying more than minimum to debt, we don't need to be doing these leaps and bounds. And so if initially you set it up too aggressively, it probably needs to be changed. Now, you don't need to change both. You can look at how much you're saving. You can look at how much is going to debt, and you can reevaluate. You can make an adjustment. Give yourself a little bit of breathing room, right? so that you're not feeling maybe your budget is tight. Maybe there was some changes that have happened within your income, right? So think about, or your other bills. So really take stock of what has happened. Maybe it's been a year, maybe it's been 3 years, right? And go at it again. Make some adjustments. Give yourself breathing room. That's ultimately what you want to do. With tip 1 is to, create some more breathing room so that you can get back to staying the pace that you need. So remember, this is a marathon and it's not a sprint. And while there are times we might want to sprint, I think that's great. You cannot sustain that. You will burn out for sure. So moving on to tip number 2. This one kind of goes hand in hand, but it's just change it up. And what I mean is, has it been several years since you created a budget? Are you just bored with it? Scrap it and create you a new one. Because sometimes we need new creativity with our numbers. We need to build it again. So scrap what you had and create it anew. Another thing you can look at if you don't want to scrap it all is look at your variable spending. Is there a way to change it up? For example, maybe you have some spending allowance and it doesn't feel like it's enough, right? Well, with your other variable spending, can you kind of give yourself some more breathing room with the allowance? Or as you're looking at all of your other variable spending, can you maybe pause, something there to give breathing room to something else? It's all about reviewing, refining, and adjusting. Another thing you can do is you can pause your savings every 6 months or so. If you feel like things are so tight, just pause your savings for 1 month so that you can choose to spend that money on something else, kind of as a mini reward, right? We'll cover that in one of the tips ahead, but pausing for 1 month can help you kind of get that breather, kind of take that, all right, but make sure you have a plan going into it, right? That you don't are like, oh, I'm going to pause, and then you haven't set how long that pause is. And that you also haven't set what you're going to spend that money on. It's one thing to say, I'm not going to save, but if you don't know where you're going to spend it instead, it is not accomplishing either thing good. All right, tip number 3. Celebrate your wins more often. So we have goals. We have some short-term, mid-term, long-term goals, I hope, right? But then what we need to do is we need to create milestones. So on those long goals, like paying down your mortgage or paying off a large debt, right, where you're sinking in lots of money, are you celebrating your milestones? And celebrating those milestones can take what we said in tip 2 to pause that paying extra so that you can celebrate, right? Keep it small, keep it rewarding, but, make sure you're still continuing on down your path, but really find a way to celebrate your wins. I was guesting on somebody else's podcast. We were talking money, obviously, but he shared when he and his wife were on a long journey of paying off debt that after a full year, they went on a trip and they used what they would have put towards debt for that trip. They had a large amount of debt. They definitely could take 1 month off to do that. So it is relative, but you can celebrate your wins, and you need to make sure that you are finding those areas when you can celebrate. Be prepared. Think about it, right? How can you celebrate? Tip number 4. Find an accountability partner or group where you can share your successes and your challenges, right? So that you're in this like-minded community where people will understand a small win, so that you're sharing to get that response back, but also in a community where you can give support. You, as you're going through this, can actually celebrate with somebody else and see that journeys can be celebrated and that things will progress, and you just keep going. So find you somewhere where you can be a part with like-minded, what is the saying? Misery loves company. I also believe that, we love to have other celebrations with people on the same journey as us. Maybe not headed to the same place, but we are all working towards a very, very similar goal. If you're looking for a group, I'd love to have you join my Facebook group, and you can come in there, share your challenges, ask for help, and share your successes. All right, tip number 5. Remember the why. When you first created your budget, why were you doing these, certain milestones, these certain goals? Visualize those long-term goals. Ask yourself, are they still on point for what you want? Or maybe your long-term goal has changed, right? Your feelings about where you're going as you've gone down the journey or as life has happened. Sometimes things don't mean as much to us as they used to. Definitely review your goals, midterm or long-term, reevaluate. Is that what you want? Is there something that is more important? If you determine that you still want to reach those long-term goals, keep something front and center to help visualize, to help remind you the why, to help you continue that journey, right? Again, I said the journey is long, but be sure, again, your milestones are created to help you celebrate those little wins. So visualize, remember your why, and celebrate. So, so important. All right. Tip number 6. Now, this one is a little more in the mindset, and it could be something that you're experiencing burnout from, which is actually decision fatigue. Have you created a very high maintenance money routine that has you experience the actions as a choice instead of auto setting up your savings, your debt payoff, all of those things, that every time you go in to send it to savings or to pay extra on debt, that you question yourself, that you ask yourself, is this what I want to do? And so every time you do, it's leading to more and more fatigue. We already have enough areas in our money life where we need to make those important decisions, where we cannot automate. So being able to automate in as many places as possible, limiting the number of times you're needed in the physical process to manage that money, right? Now, reviewing that, making sure you're still on track is important, but there's no reason why you need to, on every payday, move that money to savings, move that extra to, paying off debt. If you have created a solid budget, it is going to be there. It is going to have enough money for your bills. It's going to, do all of the things. I know sometimes people are fearful of auto pay for many different reasons, and one of them is that they worry they won't have the money there. If that's the case, you have not created an effective budget. And making sure that that is ready, make sure that, those can happen, then you can get those on auto pay. Get rid of that decision fatigue. Spend that effort on your large purchases, on your groceries, on kids' clothing, all of those other areas where we cannot automate. It is so, so important. And then keep that time, again, like I said, for reviewing your progress, for celebrating and looking for the positive changes, right? This will excite us. This will keep us out of that questioning area and seeing the progress of this automation and knowing that we're headed in the right direction. So again, to recap, today's tips to help you avoid burnout, to help you find pieces to replace those others that are not working so you can develop that well-oiled machine. The first one is, are you being realistic with your numbers? As you're making that budget initially, right, we'll need to review that heavily as we are growing. In a future episode, I am going to talk about budget phases. So these tips will fall in and help you move through those budget phases as well. Tip number 2, change it up. I would get bored. I'd be like, can I do better? And I would scrap it and I would create my budget again. Again, if you're not somebody who loves numbers like I do, then just review your variable spending. Can you change it up? Can you give more to eating out than groceries or vice versa, right? Looking at those exchanges you can make. Give up a streaming so that you can go to a movie or, those are the things that you're looking at. Maybe pausing the savings every so often, right? I would not do it any sooner than 6 months and hopefully no more than once a year, right? Just creating that pause, that reflection, that adding to your celebration is so important. Number 3, celebrate your wins. What are you doing to see your progress, to know you've hit different milestones, to know that things are moving forward, that you yourself are making a change, right? You're on the right track. That's all we need to know. That's all we need to know. Number 4, find an accountability partner or group. Sharing with like-minded people is so important to help us, whether we feel like we're having a fail or a success, right? What is your challenge? Understanding you're not the only one facing challenges with your money can be so helpful. And then in a time when you're just waiting for it to happen, to be able to give support to those who need it as well. And then they'll return the favor when it's your turn. Number 5, remembering the why. Visualizing your long-term goals. Make sure they're still what you desire. They're still what you want to achieve. And if so, how are you keeping these front and center? How are you being reminded often that that is what you're trying to achieve? And that today and today's feeling is just for a moment. And number 6, avoid decision fatigue. Make sure you've automated, make sure you've gotten yourself physically out of the process in as many places as possible so that you're limiting the number of times that you, number 1, have to manage your money, and number 2, that you can actually spend for reflecting progress and making sure maybe some other changes don't need to happen. I hope those help you. I hope you can create your own well-oiled machine. And if you're still trying to find a way to create that successful initial budget, again, like I mentioned at the first, I have my 4-week, 4-session intensive, and that is all we do. Very simply get you a budget, a tracking system, and your saving. So if that's all your capacity can handle for right now, and I know going into the holidays, we're limited on time, this is perfect for you to get started and be successful and not have to delay your success with money any longer. Till next time, friends, enjoy. Thanks for listening. Every week, my goal is to help you get one step closer to financial freedom and making confident decisions so your money starts working for you. Having a community of support is important to your financial success. I would love to have you join me in my free Facebook community, All Things Personal Finance. Inside this group, every live training, action challenge, and posts are filled with tips and strategies to help you progress to financial freedom. If you have questions from today's episode or want to learn more, follow me on Instagram at Elevate Finances. If you're looking for personalized support to get your finances on track, check out my website at elevatefinances.us to learn more about how I can support you with one-on-one coaching. Thanks and have a wonderful day.